answers?
Boss Cowboy.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing real back. He be speaking his mind. They like, ooh, he violent.
Where your voice matters. Boss Cowboy.
You want answers?
Where your voice matters.
You want answers?
That was easy.
You can't handle the truth.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Turn me up some. Turn me up some more. There you go, man. Listen, man, we make this special together. That's what we do. We make this special together. This is how we all rock. Yeah, but like I was saying, it's amazing that you're in church getting ready to talk about what he just talked about. Because I was listening and like, man, you know how it is. A lot of the guys go before or after me, so sometimes I gotta sit there quiet as I'm prepping, because it'll take a little time. They say my mic is messing up. They say you can't hear me. Okay, so my audio is bad. That's what I need to know. So let me fix this audio real quick. Let me fix this out. It's not gonna be the best audio, but this is what I got. I hate to do y'all like this, but hey, yeah. So now that's not gonna be the best. Y'all let me know. I changed my mic. I take off. It's better. That's better. So I'm gonna have to go with this. This is not my mic. I'm gonna have to work on that. It says clear. This ain't the best sound though. So basically going to what's me going on now. If you see it, change. So it was things that was put out before, and then it's always a good time to sometimes look at things in hindsight. Okay, so now we can look back and we can talk about some of these things. Okay, so the 5 things that I'm gonna talk about, that's why I know it's gonna be more than just this show. It's gonna be a part 2, maybe part 3. But there's 5 major Dallas Cowboys positive 2025 front office changes. 5. Okay. The first one is a true aligned identity. Okay. And this didn't start from the coaches. This started from front office. I'm gonna prove that. Okay. This is a vision that they had to come together and get in sync on. They was actually out of sync on that. We're gonna prove that. Also, they went against, I would say the crowd, and they stuck with true BPA, and it was not popular to do. They stayed with it, even though it was not popular. They went with what was right over what would have been popular. We're going to talk about that too. Also, what they're trying to do, which is so out of line, is they're trying to bring in true competition. We're going to talk about that. Then they trying to bring in a care culture. And there's evidence that that's actually starting to make its mark. Okay. So now also last thing, they're making outbound calls. So we're going to talk about these things in order because these are all positives. These are also things that the Dallas Cowboys need to keep. Like, absolutely, they need to keep a lot of this stuff. So starting with the first thing, we're going to start with their identity, right? That's the very first thing that they started to talk about. And remember, this starts from front office. This starts from front office. This doesn't start from the coaches. This starts with the front office being aligned on the mistakes that they frankly made. So let's talk about it. Starting with Will. Check this out.
That's the greatest part, is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made. What we're going to do and how we're going to do it, it starts with ownership.
Let me go back.
I think that's the greatest part, is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It starts with ownership coming down.
So this was at the Senior Bowl. So they wasn't even really kind of going yet on the coaches as much. This was about what was the mistakes that we made under Mike McCarthy. What was the mistakes we've made in the past? And he was very honest. It was about how is this going to play out, though? That was the key question. How was it going to play out on this alignment? Because we heard you say it. It's another thing to do it. So let me play it one more time. We're going to talk about it.
That's the greatest part, is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It starts with ownership coming down, but Shotty's got a plan, got a vision. We're going to support that.
And remember, it said it started from the very top. So the people who actually messed up, honestly, the Mike McCarthy era was the very top. It started with Jerry and Steve. That's where the mess started. The fact that they assigned Kellen Moore to Mike McCarthy was already out of alignment from the very beginning, because they had totally different philosophies. But they tried to force this marriage. And when they tried to force that marriage, you had two different divisions. And my pastor used to always call that division. Whenever you have two separate visions, you have division. And that's what you were seeing. So the alignment started not from the coaches. The alignment and the lack of alignment started from front office. So hold on one more time.
The greatest part is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It starts with ownership coming down, but Shotty's got a plan, got a vision. We're going to support that, and then what we'll do is continue to, add good players. I have a great feeling about Shotty, what he's looking for. He's going to communicate.
Notice he said, I got a great feel. And Special K, you preaching. He say, right, they wanted to keep Kellen around to make a head coach one day. Exactly. And that was that type of mess that they was going to try to pull with Whitten. See, boys better keep their eyes open on that front office, man. Sometimes they'll do stuff that's actually counter to football, where they have these predetermined outcomes and they be wanting to work it out how they envision into the future. They do that to draft picks. They do that with coaching. They do that with a lot of different stuff. And they had to say together, we dropped the ball on that. Yeah, they dropped the ball on that. To Special K's point, I already had this queued up for the presentation. Let's scoot over. So under Just look what this mess that was going on. Look at this mess. This is a pure D mess. So under Mike McCarthy, you had the West Coast, which they then changed to the Texas coast, which was basically still the West Coast, right? But then you had the no identity digit system where the offense was basically dependent upon being able to read a defense. And the weapons and the quarterback had to read the defense at the same time. Now, the benefit of that, if everybody was able to be on the same page under Kellen Moore, the benefit of that was you was able to basically beat defenses with anticipation, right? Because you was basically beating them with like super timing. But the problem is that was out of alignment, totally out of alignment to a West Coast. A West Coast system is not as dependent upon reading the defense. It's more timing based, where it's about the feet work of the quarterback mirroring the routes of the weapons. So you had a misalignment. You had a totally misalignment. And it didn't even get no better when you got rid of Kellen. Because now you had a run identity, a power identity, a guy who was very, very serious about the run game, mixing with a pass-happy coach. Thank you, Special K. Special K, you killing the comments, bro. You killing. Exactly. They was trying to build the puzzle the wrong way. But shout out to front office for recognizing it. The wrong thing you could ever do, man, is to just run the exact same play again, expecting a totally different result, bro. And this time they said, what was the sin that we committed under Mike McCarthy? What did we do that it was on us? This is where they had to honestly take a pure self-assessment. And they did. This was a self-assessment on what did we do to hurt ourselves. And that's where they said, we're not aligned. We're not aligned. They was honest about it. And see, this is the type of content that I try to do. See, some people really hate my channel because, see, you can't improve unless you're first honest on what you're not doing right. And see, when we start talking about what can we do better, a lot of people, especially in the off season, they start getting uncomfortable with that. Like I just saw Tuck, at the end, he started talking about that he would want to see more public displays with Dak of getting in with the guys more, because that's what Brian is doing. That's what Brian is preaching, right? He wasn't outright accusing him of not doing it. He was like, I want to see more of it, especially because that's what your head coach is preaching. But the problem is when he started to make the thought of what he feels that Dak can do better, then people start getting sensitive on him. It don't mean he don't believe in Dak. It doesn't mean that he was outright accusing Dak. He was saying, from my opinion, I would want to see him out and about more. And it's like Dak is too young to be Uncle Dak. And I agree with that. Especially when Brian is preaching that heavily. So it's one of those things to where I will always be against what I call positive pampers, right? And that's where content creators feel like it's their job, or writers, because writers do this too, where they feel like it's their sole job to just try to make us happy. See, when you just trying to make me happy, you're not going to tell me what I need to be told. You're not going to tell me, hey, bro, you need some gum. See, front office, they needed gum, and they actually accepted the gum. They accepted the gum. And that's one of the reasons why we're happier now than we've been. And this was a major change. So let's talk about it even more. And let's put this all together in terms of the identity aligning. Yeah. And I feel Tuck about that. Yeah, I do. Because we gonna talk about this care culture that Brian is building. And like I said, we probably ain't gonna get through everything today because it'll be too long of a show if I try to throw all the changes of front office. But But we want to recognize these changes, though. These are the type of shows. This is not just about being positive. You want to recognize what are they doing now that they were not doing before. What are they doing now that they were not doing before? Because you want to be able to continue to push them to do the better things, and you want them to abandon the things that they wasn't doing right. So the first thing I'm going to say is this. When you're talking about alignment, and that's what Will McClay was talking about, and this is where they had to first align. This is where your owner, Jerry, and Steven, and then Will, and then Brian, and then the sub coaches had to align. So what is the alignment? What exactly is, and what are we doing? What's the vision? And we're going to talk about some risk too, because there's some risk. The risk ain't over, y'all. Don't think that the risk is over. I don't even think that we're I don't think that we are like we're shooing in to be a run team. That's the vision, but some stuff in the way of that. We're going to talk about that. But let's first talk about the identity.
Offensive identity, right?
Physical.
So the first question, this was from the owners meeting. He said, what do you want your identity to be? So you probably can't hear the question, but he had a clear question. He said, what do you want your identity to be? He said, physical, out the gate.
What do you want your offensive identity to be?
Physical. Again, I talked a little bit in the opening press conference about, the marriage between the run game and the action passes. But, as a football team, as an offense, we want to be physical. My MO has always been to run the football.
Well, God, dark. Damn. So, okay. So they asked you about identity and you just got on the quality soapbox.
I really believe that the game, like I said, is up front.
Oh!
Led the league twice, the coordinator. Proud of that. I think getting a guy like Clayton Adams.
Getting a guy like Clayton Adams. Now, this is all under the question of what do you want your identity to be? And then he mentions then who? Mr. Clayton Adams. That alignment. That a good old alignment. So your identity seems to be also aligned with the type of coaches. If I'm obviously reading between clear lines here, is that Clayton Adams has a lot to do with your identity of what you want to be. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing.
Really helps us as the coordinator. His knowledge, I've been tracking him for a couple years now. He's an incredible mind when it comes to not just the run game, but just how to attack defenses and how to get favorable leverage and things like that. But physical is the first thing that kind of jumps out at me.
What do you want your offensive?
So he say physical is the first thing that jumps out to me. Yeah, man. Let's hit a light break. Because see, if you listen to Tuck, if you listen to me, you're going to really start understanding the vision better. I'm going to because this is honestly what we do well. We really go crack the code. That's why it's amazing that we having a similar show. And he called me today. He said, I'm cracking the code. And I was like, yeah, what you talking about? He said, man, I'm cracking it like we did Kelly, right? And I said, that's crazy, bro. I said, I'm talking about that too. I swear to God, we had a talk about 6 hours ago. And I said I was going to be talking about it from the standpoint of the changes of front office. So when he gave me kind of like what he was kind of hearing in his heart, I was like, damn, bro, that's crazy. So if you listen to Tuck, I'm telling you, if you listen to Tuck, you listen to me, we going to tell you really what's going on with these teams, bro, with your own team. And it's going to be very well done, very well documented. And what's crazy is we do it in different ways. When you hear me talk about it, I'm not going to use any of his clips. He's not going to use any of mine. But we came to the same conclusion. So, but notice that Clayton Adams was a major part of it. And we're going to talk about this too, because I want you to really understand Brian. Because I'm certain to this day, people still don't understand Brian. Yeah. Yeah, man. See, Todd Church said, yeah, boss. Elam listened to the show. I heard he got his speed back. Yeah, I got clips of that too. So, and that's another reason I'm telling you, man, I ain't gonna never do that positive pamper shit. Never. You ain't gonna never see me not saying what needs to be said for my team to improve. So, like when Elam came out, there's a lot of people, they always want to rush out to be super positive, right? And they do that because that's what the fans want to hear. I'm being honest with you. It's a capitalism a lot with that, to where our fans want to hear everything positive, so our content creators and writers just feed them that. They not gonna tell them the truth. So when I saw Elam, I was honest. I said, Elam lost a step. And I said, he can get it back, but he got to go work with a track coach. That's exactly what Elam did. And guess what Brian came out and said? That he actually clocking some of the fastest times at practice. But he also did go do exactly what I said he needed to do. Now, if I would have been Mr. Positive ass, then you don't put that information out there that need to be put out there for your team to improve. It's just what it is. So, yeah, I mean, maybe he heard it, maybe he didn't, but regardless, I told the truth. But going back to Brian, and we go tie all of this together. Y'all know we go.
Be tone setters, if you will, and that's very exciting.
Hold on real quick. Let me go back.
Athletic. When you take over as head coach, you know, the offense looks a certain way on paper. And now since then, you've added guys, free agency, the draft, obviously George. From an offensive play caller standpoint, like what do you think of when you're looking at this offense on paper right now?
I love our balance. It's a great question, John. I love our balance. I think you look at what we did from a free agency standpoint, bringing in Miles and Javonte and Rob Jones on offense. We weren't done with that. Move in the first round and take Tyler Booker, who we're really excited about. I need to find out if the Turtles are here. I don't know if the Turtles are here. I need to ask him that. But
I wonder what he meant by that. Can somebody, what does he mean by the Turtles are here? Can somebody might know something I don't know. What did he mean by that?
Getting GP was big for us, but again, it speaks to competition. We're trying to create competition at every level. What makes Dak Prescott better? Joe Milton. What makes CeeDee Lamb better? George Pickens. What makes Jaden Blue better? Having Javonte Williams. And so I think.
See, y'all so awesome. Let's see Brian be showing that. See, y'all so smart, bro. So Tyler Booker got Turtles. So Brian is showing that he know the details on his player and what his passions are. I sure appreciate y'all, man. I sure appreciate y'all.
I think as you look at what we're doing, Jerry and Steven and Will have done an incredible job of creating that competition across the board at multiple spots. And that's what you're going to see today.
I want to see more, though. They not finished. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. They have not hooked up Brian the way Brian needs to be fully hooked up yet. I'm going to talk about that, though. Because, see, it's some positive things in which they're doing. It's positive. But it's some things they can be doing better.
You know, you'll see guys that are taking first-team reps. Are they the starters? No. They're just taking first-team reps today. Do we change it up?
This is a very good question. They say, do Brian go a little overboard with the relationship stuff? No. I totally say absolutely not. Because, you know, when I was playing at the University of Houston, I talk about this story all the time because it's true. I've always, if y'all ain't noticed, one thing about me is one thing y'all should know about me is that I'm very observant. Like, that's one of my gifts, I would say, is I can listen to an interview and I'm going to hear a lot that a lot of people not going to hear. I can be watching something and I'm going to see what a lot of people just not going to see. That's one of my gifts, is I would say that I'm observant, right? And I've been like that. So I remember when I was in college, I used to always remember that our best practices and our best games would be when our coaches, and even when I was in middle school, we had a coach to where we won just consistent championships with him in middle school. But what would happen is sometimes we wouldn't practice. He would sit us down and talk to us like he was discipling us, like he was talking to us about the Lord or something. And sometimes we wouldn't have no practice. He'll be talking to us about life, decisions, drugs, just different things. And then he'll be like, all right, no practice. And then we'll just go out there and we would dominate. And it was consistent. I'm just telling people, man, you play a lot harder when you really believe them people looking out for you, man. And when them people really care for you. When they really care for you, like when our coaches used to talk to us about our grades and stuff, bro, I swear to God, I used to just notice the practice. Or the game, we would go out there and act a full donkey. Like you would think that we fully prepped. Like you would think, oh, they was locked in. Because we used to always have to watch film before we would go out to practice, right? And so you would think the day that we getting interceptions, we getting big hits. And I'm talking about all of us making plays. It was when our coaches showed us that they cared, bro. I swear. And I was telling this to the OC. I was like, that's what we lacked at U of H. You can see the racial divides. You can see the cultural divides. What do I mean by the racial divides, right? It's certain differences between races. Let's just be honest. Like everybody want to act like everybody's the same. Everybody's not the same. There are food differences between cultures. There are sometimes music differences between cultures. There are certain things that's going to sound good to my ears that's going to sound bad to somebody else's ears. They're going to hate it. Like if I'm driving down the street and I hear that Hispanic music, I'm like, God, turn this shit up, right? Now they probably saying the same thing about hearing my music. There's cultural differences, and U of H, we never did anything to try to bring us together. We never did. Like, so if the white guys like country music, they never tried to get the urban guys to hang out with them ever. So it was like, y'all do y'all over there. We go do us over here. And when it's time to practice, I see you. When it's time to play, I see you. So we never really, even though we played together, it wasn't that true brotherhood. And I'm talking about for years. And I felt it. Like I felt closer to my brothers in high school than I did with college. Straight up. Why? Because we hung out, we was in the streets together, or we was doing stuff together, and it made a big difference on how we played together. So to answer your question, I think it's genius what he doing. It's something that I felt like my head coach, none of my head coaches in college had. They didn't have the understanding of you got to do things to bring your men together. You got to do stuff like, hey, man, go sit with some people you don't talk to today. Matter of fact, I see all the corners. The corners always hang with the corners. The receivers always hang with the receivers. Go hang with some offensive linemen today. Which one of y'all gonna throw a cookout and then invite us over and then play your country music so the urban guys over there gotta adapt to it? Or bring the white guys over there to where we banging and we bumping it. Yeah, y'all gotta hang out with us today. But I guarantee you, if we would have had more of that, we would have played for each other harder. So this is, to me, first what he's doing, establishing that culture. And that's why I also, just to kind of go off on this chat, I don't think it's too much at all. I think it's perfect what he's doing. It's just that they all got to buy into it. And that's why that's just important. It's important what he's doing. But let me go back to what he was saying, because this is the key part at the end.
Of course we do, because we're all about creating competition. And so I think, I see a unit that's got a ton of playmakers and pieces, but we're going to go based on how our offensive line goes. And go based on how our offensive line goes. And
we, the team, are going to go as the offensive line goes.
But we're going to go based on how our offensive line goes. Pieces, but we're going to go based on how our offensive line goes. And they're going to play really, really physical. They're going to be tone setters, if you will, and that's very exciting.
So we still talking about alignment, right? And when we talking about alignment, I want you to listen to, and these are people that they observed each other from afar. So listen.
What do you want in your offensive lineman?
The same thing that I want from every player on offense.
So this is almost like that question of what do you want your identity to be, right? Remember they asked Brian, what do you want your identity to be? Listen.
What do you want in your offensive lineman?
The same thing that I want from every player on offense, and that is to create violence in the game, be aggressive, run, hit. I think that every decision that we make.
What do you want in your offensive lineman?
The same thing that I want from every player on offense, and that is to create violence in the game, be aggressive, run, hit. I think that every decision that we make schematically needs to lean that direction. So if there's gray area, what is going to allow these guys to play more free and run and hit and be violent?
Physical. Again, I talked a little bit in the opening press conference.
Violence, physical, same thing, bro. Same thing. This is the vision, man. This has always been. And that boy said Booker fit that mold. Man, this is one of the main reasons I was pushing for Booker, bro, because I was listening to them. That's the main reason. It was like, if I'm listening, not me kind of being stuck in what I want, me really listening to what they saying, bro. Booker was always the best fit. It was always the best fit. That's why I was on it for months, bro. This ain't about you was right, team trenches out, none of that shit. It was just about what was the vision, what was the alignment, what was they clearly saying, bro? I'm talking about clearly saying, dog. And when you listen to Shotty, the violence, I mean, he said physical. He said it the nice way. Klayton said what? Violence.
Well, the marriage between the run game and the action passes, but as a football team, as an offense, we want to be physical. My MO has always been to run the football. I really believe that the game, like I said, is up front. Led the league twice, the coordinator, proud of that. I think getting a guy like Clayton Adams.
What do you want in your offensive lineman?
The same thing that I want from every player on offense, and that is to create violence in the game, be aggressive, run, hit. I think that every decision that we make schematically needs to lean that direction. So if there's gray area, what is going to allow these guys to play more free and run and hit and be violent?
Yeah, and see, D.A. Lee, you right on this, bro. D-line is my concern with the physicality they keep preaching. Man. D.A. Lee, you right, bro. You right. And see, that's the problem that a lot of people kind of overlooking. As much as they seem like they are very, very seriously aligned on wanting to run the ball, guess what'll happen? You'll be forced to have to throw the ball. Because they go do what they got to do to win the game. If you can't stop the run, bro, like what happened in 2008 versus the Rams, it'll become a shootout even when you didn't want it to be a shootout. It don't matter how aligned they are. If they don't, to D.A. Lee's point, if they don't take care of another veteran one tech, I'm telling you that the Dallas Cowboys are not taking care of Brian like they should. He's been very consistent on pushing for the trenches, bro. He's been very consistent that games are won and lost over the trenches, man. And it's going to be us that's going to have to finally listen to him and adjust to what he's really saying he wants for this team and push front office to do it. Because I'm going to be honest, we done lost a lot of our savviness since we lost Pickens. We done lost our energy. I'm watching it, bro. We is not as – now we on some bull. This is what we on now. Hey, man, let's give the young guys a chance. See, we on that. Boss, I don't want no progress stoppers. See, we on that. See, we didn't mind – messing up the progress of Mingo. We didn't mind messing up the progress of Toba. Get their ass out of here. We need wide receiver too. But all of a sudden, we became protective of running back. We just protecting the hell out of Blue Mill. We don't bring in no outsiders. Let's first see what they do first. Nah, bro, what we talking about? Hey, man, one tech. Let's see how the young guys do first. Wait, what? Hold on, don't get me started, bro. This ain't that presentation.
You talk about your relationship with Riley and being with offensive line coach. You know, how much will you be a part of the offensive line, or will you stay away from that?
So this is Connor Riley.
I definitely won't stay away from that. I think that it's a little bit to be determined exactly how all those things are going to work, because I think, you know, we need to get out and coach these guys a little bit. And we need to get past the point where we're just all trying to speak the same language, which is kind of where we're at right now. In regards to my involvement with the offensive line is I want to have a great relationship with all these guys. And I really want to build genuine relationships so that they know that I'm here to help them play the best football of their careers, and that, you know, they know that we're going to have a very clear and communicated standard for what we expect from them. For me, that's going to start in the offensive line room, and I'm very excited about developing a relationship with those guys. But also, like I said, you know, I need to have that same relationship with Dak. I need to have that same relationship with CD. So my time's going to be spread a little bit more in that way. But it's going to start in the offensive line.
With Riley.
You know, Connor I've actually known him a long time.
So this is where he's talking about Connor Riley. This is going to be very interesting. Pay attention, because we're talking about alignment. Their alignment is like super on point offensively. It's a little bit different on defense. We'll talk about that too. I'm always be honest with you. But listen.
Worked together. We've talked football many times. Spent, you know, for guys that have never worked together, probably a fair amount of time together. And then I always think this is.
Pay attention to what he just said. So notice when Brian was talking about Klayton, he said, I never really knew him, but I watched him from a distance. I watched, and I became a fan from a distance. I watched his style from a distance. I watched his teams from a distance. Same thing with Connor Riley and Klayton. It's like we never worked together, but we talked enough to know that we was aligned. Listen to what he's saying about him, bro. Listen.
Probably a fair amount of time together, and then spent, you know, for guys that have never worked together, probably a fair amount of time together. And then I always think this is, you can assess offensive lines or any position group really when you're evaluating what you think that a coach does, but nothing speaks like the tape. And one thing that I've always respected about Connor Riley over the years of just evaluating his players coming out in the draft and even just evaluating his scheme when I was coaching in college, the players play good. And he's had good players too, but that's your responsibility as a position coach is what's on the tape. Are they doing it right? Are they playing violent? Are they finishing? Those are right. Are they playing violent? Are they finishing? Which is what's on the tape. Are they doing it right? Are they playing violent? Which is what's on the tape. Are they doing it right? Are they playing violent? Are they finishing? Those are playing violent. Are they finishing? Those are the things that you look for.
So here we go again. Those buzzwords. What do you want your identity to be? Physical, right? Clayton Allen say violence. The reason why we really put a big bullseye, according to him, on Riley was what? The violence that was on the tape. It was the violence that was on the tape. So what is the theme that you keep hearing over and over on the alignment between your coaches? Violence, finishing. And they respected each other from a distance. It was a respect that I don't know him, but I see something in him and his guys. I see something that has the identity of what I want to be and what I want represented on my Dallas Cowboys. That's what you're saying. So check this out.
Talked with ESPN. What's your background with Brian Schottenheimer? And now is it kind of just
hold on before
learning what he wants, how it meshes with what we.
Before I get into that, let me go back to this. This is important. I was going to talk about something that's important because I gotta bring this all home to everybody real quick. What we dealing with versus what we was dealing with. Okay, so I showed on original the lack of alignment between Shotty, Brian, and Kellen Moore. Now you're looking at full alignment. Let me go pull up the old slide real quick. Let me just pull that up real quick. Y'all give me 1 second. This is why I miss my other software. It's so much faster and more efficient. I'm just being honest with you. You know how it is, man. Like I got a certain kind of format and flow. Like I like to be able to talk and go. You can't quite talk and go like you can on this, but hey, we gonna still make it work. So if you look at what it was to what it is, you had this old funky West Coast mixed with the no identity. Then we brought in Brian Schottenheimer. Let's be honest and let's just think back. Let's think back, content creators. Think back. A lot of our content was off. A lot of our content was wrong because we wasn't aligned on our content because we didn't understand the alignment of what was going on with Dallas. So a lot of us got excited when we saw Brian Schottenheimer come in, right? We thought that meant that Mike McCarthy was going to want to be a run the ball coach, especially because he kept saying that. But it didn't metastasize into that at all. It didn't. Like Mike McCarthy was pass happy from preseason all the way until the end, until about the last 6 games. That's when he finally began to become a run the ball offensive play caller. About the last 6 games when he had Cooper Rush, that's when he started. But now if you go look at these guys and look at the new alignment, so that's why I needed to show y'all all the clips first. So you see that Brian Schottenheimer, because a lot of people, they keep getting it wrong, bro. They keep thinking, but boss, he did say he want to build from the outside in. I keep telling y'all that was a bluff. That was around draft time, and they asked him a question about pick 12. So everywhere else where they just asked him a football question, he gave his real answers. So when he said stuff like, what do you want your identity to be? He gave a real answer, right? He started talking about physical. Then he started talking about Klayton Adams and being married to the run game and all that kind of stuff. They asked him about how do you face up to the East? He started talking about the trenches again. Every time they asked him a football question, it always came down to the trenches. Then they asked him about pick 12, and then he said, oh, I can't say that because that's going to give away what I'm really looking at. Because he was obviously always looking at Booker. Always, right? So he said, I'm going to lead them left, but I'm going right. That's what he did. And he started throwing out that smoke screen. Yeah, when you're building a team, you build a team from the outside in, you know. And that was something that he was prepared to say because he like, yeah, these people going to have mics in my face and they going to be trying to get clues to what we're trying to get in the draft. And I'm not giving away what I'm targeting. And that's why he gave that smoke screen. But a lot of us still believe to this day that he really was big on weapon. And I'm telling y'all, if it's no way you can look at the full alignment. let me just say it like this. This is why I don't believe for a second that Ted would have been the pick. I don't believe that. I believe they said that because they was trying to appease an angry fan base that wanted wide receiver too. Because see, you got all this alignment. Trench identity with your head coach. Trench identity with your OC. With a background of coaching offensive lines and tight ends in the trenches. Then you got a trench identity with your offensive line coach who has the exact same background. Offensive line background and tight end background. So everything is aligned from their trench identity. Then they also have the exact same run game identity. Like fully aligned. Then they also have a violent identity. Like all three saying it the same way, different ways. Physical, violent, it all mean the same thing. It all mean the same thing. So for me to believe that Ted would have automatically been the pick, that's like getting Lou in here, me, Vach, and the OC, and we like Ted. Y'all really believe that? So obviously Lou is a trench guy, right? Especially for this draft. Then we know Vach is a trench guy. We know the OC is a trench guy, right? So that's like having all these trench guys out here like, but Ted, yeah, let's go that. Yeah, that fits what we're trying to do right now. Hell nah, bro. I don't believe that for not 1 second. And then just think about it. This is where I got to use my common sense. And when has they ever in the first round talked about a guy that they could have gotten? Why didn't they do that the year before? Because guess who was actually closer? Thomas was closer than Guyton. It was, yeah, Thomas was the pick right before us, bro. Did they say if Thomas would have came, if he would have failed, we would have got him? Nah, he literally went the pick before us. Yeah, Ted went 3 picks above us. But we want to make sure we put that out there because we thinking he would have been an automatic pick. And I'm telling y'all, it don't fit the major alignment of your head coach, your OC, and your offensive line coach. It never fit them, bruh. They was trying to appease the anger, dog. And it's more so about understanding your value as a fan. Because they never did that. Like what? Did they say, hey, man, if Chase would have failed, we would have got him. If Penei Sewell, we got Micah, but if Chase would have failed, we would have got him. They didn't do that. It was the first time they did that because it was the overwhelming anger of the fans wanting wide receiver too. It was everywhere, dog. So I listen, y'all can believe that, that's fine. If you believe that, that's fine. But you're not going to make me believe that's something that they put out. And think about it. Who put that out? Who put that out? Who put that out? Your front office put that out. So something that they put out, I supposed to be like, that was what it was going to be. Yeah, that was I just see way too much. You see way too much honest assessment from Brian, Klayton. You see all of them real big on, and what did he say? It's going to be the front that leads up. Hold on, bro. Let me play it with the athletic.
We're going to go based on how our offensive line goes. And
we're going to go as wide receiver 2 goes.
Line goes. And
we're going to go as Dak takes us.
Our offensive line goes.
We're going to go as far as we can throw the ball.
Based on how our offensive line goes.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I suppose, like, that, I'm just telling y'all, I can't look at this much alignment, this much pushing for the same violence. That's why he always made sense. That's why he always was the pick. That's why I never fall for the position of value and all that kind of stuff, bro. I ain't never falling for that. That you don't get guards at 12 because of position of value. Nah, no, bro. I'm not falling for that. I'm not listening to that because I'm listening to the identity of all the coaches that are aligned. And all the coaches that are aligned, all of them is why he made this guy literally and easily was not only the most physical offensive player, he was the most physical player in the draft. Period. He's the most physical player in the draft. He perfectly fit. So when you looking at Brian and you looking at what he wants, we need to know what he really wants, man. And what we need to really go back to is the trenches again. Because this ain't even just about Booker, Ted, and all that. This is about, are we really listening? Are we really? Because see, it's aligned on offense. It ain't aligned on defense, brother. You not serious until you get Mozzie some one-tech help. Until you do that, I ain't believing in this being no true contender team. I believe it being an exciting team, a good team. But until you really serious about getting one tech help in here, and I ain't even hearing all this, well, they're waiting to June 1st. See, that's that bargain basement thinking shit. That's that, man, boss. See, now we starting to think like Steve and them. No, let's just wait till June 1st and let's see what. Nah, y'all wasn't taking that for wide receiver too. Y'all was like, go do something, trade something, reach for 12 if you got to, but do something. That's what you was saying. See, y'all energy done changed, bro. Let me be all the way honest with you, Cowboy Nation. Your energy has all the way switched up. You are not what you need to be to get us over. I'm being all the way honest with you. You done got Pickens and now you done fucking let your hair down, bro. That's what done happened. Because, see, y'all wasn't taking that when it came to wide receiver 2. You was angry as hell to the point they start lying and telling you, yeah, we would have picked Ted. He was 3 picks away from us, but if he would have failed. See, but if you listen close, they already said that they simulated and knew he likely wasn't going to fall. So what was the whole point of bringing it up? It was to appease your anger, dog. Yeah, that's exactly what they was doing. They was appeasing your damn anger, dog. And but now we over here like, hey man, let's wait till June 1st, man. Let's go see what happened with the running backs. Let's wait and see, man. Dude, let's wait. And hell no, they shouldn't have moved up, bro. No. Fuck no. Listen, if they would have moved up, they wouldn't have got Pickens, bro. If they would have moved up and got Ted, you would have had Hoffman and Ted. Would you rather have Hoffman and Ted, or would you rather have right now Booker and Pickens? No, they shouldn't have moved up. No. They did right with what they did. Sitting there and getting what the best value was for your team, and that was always Booker. Booker and Pickens is always the smart move, and would have always been the move we was pushing for. We was always like, we kept telling people, you don't just have to draft him at 12 to get it done. You know that, right? You know the Cowboys can trade too, right? That's what Team Trenches was saying. Like, yeah, because the fight was this. If you don't get him at 12, you're settling for Mingo. And we're like, no, the fuck we not. We just go out there and push for them to make the trade, which is what they end up doing. See, but what happened is they try to pigeonhole us into one way that is to draft or nothing. It's like, no. See, now they trying to do us like that on one tech and running back. Well, let's see what these guys can do first. Don't bring in Chubb. Let's just first see. But see, everywhere else, y'all was saying, oh, when it come to Dak, let's go put Joe Milton on it. Competition. Oh, when it come down to CeeDee Lamb, let's put Pickens on them. Competition. But your running back room, guess what the fans saying now? Oh, yeah, let's protect them young guys. Let's go protect the 5th rounder and the 7th rounder. Let's go protect them. We don't want to be progress stoppers to unproven players. See, that's the new mantra right now. Let's protect these young guys. See, everywhere else is competition, but in the running back room, and at the one tech room. So your identity though is this though. Your identity is now really is supposed to be built on the trenches. And I'm talking about both sides, not just the offense, even though he is saying that it's going to lead with the run game, right? And it's going to lead with the offensive line, which I agree with. I'm telling you right now, if you can't stop the run, you go force your offense to have to do and get into a pass happy situation. And that's the thing that we're not paying attention to. So listen to this, because this part I'm finna play is important, because this will also kind of highlight how they're going to work through this identity. So y'all listen to this. Listen, this is important though, because see, this still, because they are aligned in terms of wanting to run the ball, because they are trench guys, and because they're violent, that does not necessarily mean that they are fully aligned. Okay, so they go talk about this. Klayton go talk about this because this is very important. Listen.
You've done in the past. Were you guys in that process of scheme-wise?
Hold on. Listen to this. This is important, y'all. Listen.
Klayton, Todd Archer with ESPN. What's your background with Brian Schottenheimer? And now are you kind of just learning what he wants, how it meshes with what you've done in the past? Were you guys in that process of scheme-wise?
Yeah, that's exactly where we're at, is just trying.
Now, remember, this was February 18th, so they were still trying to work it through.
And to mesh what the vision of what he wants is, because he's going to call the plays, and so I think it would be dumb on my part to try to force a lot of things on that call sheet that he doesn't want to call or he doesn't feel comfortable calling. So,
see, notice the difference between what he's saying and what happened with Mike McCarthy. And I'm going to say this, man. What happened to Mike McCarthy is low-key sad, bro. Like, Mike McCarthy was the guy that was trying to make the relationship work, but he had a bad lady. And now your lady has learned her lessons from the mistakes she made in your relationships, and she making it good for the next man. That's what's happening with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was the guy who was trying to get it right, but the front office lady or spouse was messing up. It was the exact opposite. See, Klayton said it like this: it would be stupid for me to try to force something on the play caller that he don't believe in. You see the difference? You see the difference in terms of the alignment? Wait, Special K, don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started on that. Ooh, don't get me started on that, bro. Hey, but you listening, and see, this is why we missed it the first time when it came to Brian. We missed it. When we saw Brian get hired as the OC, we thought we was going to have this major run identity, and it wasn't. They was never aligned. So this is also why, remember, Jerry was talking about he saw him have deference to Mike McCarthy, because it was a difference in philosophies. It was a difference. Now they align, but they still gonna have to work through differences. Listen.
I've not had a major background with him. I had talked football with him in the past. I had known him a little bit, but we're really excited. I'm very excited to work with him and just to continue to learn each other a little bit. And I think that that's always going to be a process of, we're all molded a little bit by our experiences. And so there's going to be, we're going to get out into some practices and talk through some things. And I'm going to see some things differently. He's going to see some things differently. And it's going to be a growing process.
That's real. See, don't think just because they all run guys and trench guys and violent guys, that don't mean they not go butt heads on different ways of doing things. It's still gonna be a working process, y'all. Cause I don't wanna oversell this like this is just perfect. Now they got to work this out too.
You know, you get into games and you have to have those same type of experiences, both good and negative.
I think it was both, Keystone. I think it was both they called. 100%. And the reason why, because, you know, I still got the evidence. Because remember, it was Brian Schottenheimer who was standing on the table for Booker, bro. According to Patrick No.C. Walker. Yeah, I think it was both of them. Booker literally fit every coach on there. He fit the offensive line coach. He fit the violence that Klayton said. He fits the physical. He fit. And then he say the real outlier is Ken Dorsey. And see, that's why I'm trying to, and he talking about the running back coach. And see, that's why to me, bro, I'm being all the way honest, man. They have not. I don't like. Listen, am I saying that the running backs won't work? Yeah, they can work, but I know we can do better than have a running back room that work. I still want more respect at the running back position, because when you have a true quality room, bro, that's not just built on the front, where you got to account for that back. Ooh, bro, that turn your whole offense into something nasty, bro. And see, that's why I am not at all for the Cowboy fans who are just super anti-Chubb. I don't give a damn about how many. He could have broke 20 bones. It's the fact that he right now is showing a lot of great stuff on that video that we've been watching, where you don't see any signs of it, number one. Then number two, it's the fact that he ain't gonna cost nothing but a red cent. So it's like, bro, don't play with me, bro. Because when we was trying to bring leverage against Zeke, we brought in Alfred Morris, paid him $1 million. Then as soon as Zeke was signed, they cut it. They basically threw away $1 million for fake leverage. So you telling me somebody that got a spot track estimate of 3.5, which will probably have a cap hit of $1 million, ain't worth just bringing in for competition, just to get the attention of everybody in there? Bro, come on, bro. Like, I don't get at all why we fight that. Now, is it likely other running backs we could trade for? Yes, absolutely. It's a bunch of names we could bring up that could be trade candidates, but just look around the league. Who doing trades right now? Where the trades going on right now? Anywhere. Where are the trades? See, you got to know what season we in too, y'all. See, we in that season to where all these teams are starting to put their arms around what they got, and they saying we trying to go into the season with what we got. We ain't trying to necessarily give it away right now. See, when teams become interested in trading is when they know the trade deadline is approaching and they can already see the future, meaning this. So if you're a team that you know by the November where the trade deadline is, if you already can see that, man, we ain't finna make the playoffs, let's start trying to get some assets for 2026. That's when the trades talk start again. But if you're trying to start fast, you should be for bringing in competition in that running back room instead of trying to protect rookies and Williams. Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, everywhere else, we are super cool with competition, but we want to protect the running back room and the one-tech room. It makes no sense to me, bro. But listen to him.
Klayton, Todd Archer with ESPN. What's your background with Brian?
No, I already played that. Now listen to him on this one.
That's one piece of it, trying to blend, where do we find nuance and things that we want to do a little bit differently than what we've done in the past. And then, just Shotty and I getting on the exact same page, which he's really been amazing, and probably as good a situation as I could have walked into in terms of somebody who's, this is a new role for me. And so being that the head coach is the person that was in my shoes just last year. He's able to give me a lot of guidance and keep me ahead on things, so I'm not getting hit from the side on like, didn't think about that.
Yeah.
He's been great of just being ahead, 2 weeks ahead most of the time. Like, hey, this is coming up.
And see, that's what we risking, Tuck, is the fast start over this cheap talk we doing now. We doing a bunch of cheap talk, bro. It's so much cheap talk. It's ignored. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm annoyed, bro. Like the stuff I be hearing, bro. Like, oh man, hey man, let's just wait till June 1st, man. Like, no, fuck no, bro. When y'all wanted a wide receiver too, you got your ass on the phone, bro. You got on the phone, bro. That's what you did. See, that's why I'm being honest. I don't like the energy of Cowboy Nation right now, because it's like we got so excited over that sugar pick of Pickens, and not saying that's not a good player, but Pickens don't match the identity of what your offensive play callers and coaches are saying they want to lead with. But what we doing, in my opinion, is we looking at that as, oh, we're good. Let's roll. Let's rock. And it's like, yeah, obviously that's going to be good. But I don't want our offense having to score 30 points for us to win games, bro. Let me say that again, bro. I don't want our offense having to score 30 points for us to have a chance, bro. Let me say that one more time. I don't want us to have to score 30 points for us to have a chance. I saw what Michael said where he said, we gonna be all right. Michael, no, we not, bro. We not gonna be all right. And I don't want to be all right. I want to win the whole thing. No, bro, I'm not with that. We not all right. Where you gotta, as a defensive player, we should never advocate for the offense having to score 30 points just because we finally got the offensive identity right. The defense identity got to be right too. You got to get somebody in here that's going to really truly help Mozzie with stopping the run. And that's going to help you, Micah. Because if you want to win a Super Bowl, you want an offense that can average 30, and you want a defense that make it hard for teams to put up 21. I'm going to say that again. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you want an offense that can average 30, and you want a defense that makes it hard for teams to put up 21 points. That's what you want. You don't want no, hey, our offense put up 30, we all right. No, fuck that. Because guess what? It's always a defense out there somewhere that got an answer for your high-powered offense, homie. And guess where they show up? In the playoffs. That's where they show up. You finally meet that dude, they got an answer. They got somebody that can help with CD, and they got somebody that can also do a good job on Pickens. In the past, that was San Fran. We don't know who that team gonna be. It's gonna likely be Philly. It's gonna likely be Philly. Yeah, where you gonna run up on them and they go, yeah, we actually got two young corners that's gonna take a year two jump. I'm not just quite ready to just be like, we finna just kill them. Yeah, I ain't gonna quite say that yet. We evenly matched. And now I need everything in there, not some of it. I need my one tech in there. I need my running back room in there. I think Tuck said it best. What's wrong with the vision of Williams, Chubb, and Blue? What's wrong with that? Like, why would we be mad at that? What? Why? But let me play this too, and then we go kind of sum this up real quick.
With this here, one of the things we were pumped about is the variance in which you run the football. And coming from Arizona,
see, and I'm gonna just tell all my content creator brothers, we got to be very careful when we start trying to preach that we are certain what we're going to do. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll go look at a form of scheme and we'll say, and it's easy to do this, and this is, anybody can make this mistake. Any one of us can make this mistake. We'll go look and say, okay, this is what Clayton Adams was doing over in Arizona. So that's what we're getting ready to do. Nah, bro. This is what we got to really understand, even from watching the former alignment. It's really going to come down to what Brian wants to do. See, now what's really going on is Connor Riley and Clayton Adams they're cooking up what Brian feels the most comfortable with. It's so to sell that we getting ready to have a vision of Arizona offense being our offense, we got to listen better to what they really saying. The truth is this, and they ain't finna tell you right now. The truth is we don't quite know. It could just very well adapt. Now, listen, y'all. Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. Listen.
Clayton Adams with us here. One of the things we were pumped about is the variance in which you run the football. And coming from Arizona, teams didn't know what the heck you were going to do to them. Is it pin and pull? Is it outside zone? Is it inside zone? What's kind of the vision you have for this?
So you heard that? Yep, you heard that. See, Arizona, you pin and pull, outside zone, inside zone. And see, that's what we selling people. Hey, that's what they getting ready to be. They finna be outside zone, inside zone, pin and pull. That's why Booker has to be so athletic, because Clayton Adams, he's gonna be running a lot of pin and pull. He's gonna be having these guys right there doing a lot of stuff, moving around.
Rushing attack, and how does Tyler Booker help that?
Well, I think again, first and foremost is you got to do what the guys do well.
Yeah.
And
oh shit. See that part, we can't ignore that part, bro. Are we going to ignore that? For what we... Let me play that again, bro, in case people missed it. Y'all might have missed it in the back.
Again, first and foremost is you got to do what the guys do well.
Yeah.
Boss, Booker never was a fit because he's not athletic, boss. See, that's the problem. See, you wasn't thinking, boss. You and Lou... Yeah, you guys were not thinking, boss. He's not athletic, boss. He doesn't fit, boss.
Yeah.
And when I was in
have for this rushing attack, and how does Tyler Booker help that?
No, let me.
Didn't know.
See, because this is what we hearing. This is what the streets saying. This is what you hear a lot in the streets. This is what you hear in the street. Shoot, man, boy, that Clayton Adams. he gonna be very petty. Inside zone. He gonna be running that wide zone. He gonna be, boy, it's gonna be some fun. But Clayton Adams, boy, it's gonna be creative.
In which you run the football. And coming from Arizona, teams didn't know what the heck you were going to do to them. Is it pin and pull? Is it outside zone? Is it inside zone? What's kind of...
Yeah. Outside, inside. Woo! Clayton Adams, that's what he finna bring.
Kind of the vision you have for this rushing attack, and how does Tyler Booker help that?
Well, I think, again, first and foremost is you got to do what the guys do well.
Yeah.
And, when I was in Indy in 2021 and we ran the ball well that year, it was mostly outside zone.
Oh, man. That could happen, bro. That could happen. We got to talk about that. That's real, though. Don't sleep on this. Tuck joking, but that's a possibility, bro. Dak better keep this. You better keep this, Dak. Don't check out of this. This go prolong your career. This go have you MVP. If Dak really get behind this, but I'm gonna tell you when Tuck right on this. Let them start running the ball on us. Let them get ahead. And Dak is gonna check out, bro. Cause listen, he finna talk about that too. Listen.
We went into our first year in Arizona saying, okay, we're going to force the issue here and be an outside zone team, and that wasn't really what fit.
Notice he said we was going to force the issue. Listen,
That wasn't really what fit our players and our.
Nope. He said, see, we over here thinking that he has one size for the Booker shoe and an offensive line shoe. What you're really dealing with is a coach and an alignment to the run game that's adaptable, to where they're going to adapt the run game based on the talent and what they do best.
Issue here and being outside zone team, and that wasn't really what fit our players and our and James, our tailback, the best. And so we had to pivot and figure out, what do we do well? Oh, okay, well, our center is a really good puller. Let's figure out a way to do more of these things. So I think that you go into the situation here saying, all right, what fits our play action game the best, and can our players do it? And if they're struggling with it, can we improve, or do we need to pivot? And
he's telling you the vision of what's getting ready to happen. He said it as clear as day. We going in here with these guys helping with what our quarterback is great at, play action. But if we ain't seeing that they really adjusting to it, we pivoting. He said it clear as day. God damn. Listen.
Game the best. And
hold on, let me go back.
Fits our play action game the best.
Yep. Hold on. Hey.
All right. What fits our play action game the best?
Hold on. Let me go back a little bit more. You know me, I'm trying to get it right.
So I think that you go into the situation here saying,
you go into the situation here in Dallas. This is Dallas situation.
Saying, all right, what fits our play action game the best?
What fits our play action game the best?
And can our players do it? And if they're struggling with it, can we improve, or do we need to pivot? And I think that that's.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll go through a period to where we say, okay, we see them struggling. Is this something we can coach them into better play, or is this something we go just have to abandon, period, because it just doesn't fit the talent?
The recipe for any organization or team or anything that you're trying to have collective success is you have to figure out what does the pieces that you have, what do they do best, and then put them in those situations consistently.
So when we looking at the identity and we looking at one of the major improvements of the Dallas Cowboys, it was the alignment and the full alignment that we did not see previously. It's the alignment that we are currently seeing with the head coach, the OC, and the offensive line coach. It's a great alignment. It's a great adjustment. This is front office getting it right from them dropping the ball with Mike McCarthy. I'm just being all the way honest. This is something that they really did do self-assessment on. This is where somebody said, this is what your front office did. See, a real homie will tell you when you need gum, but sometimes you can just do this. So do some of y'all do that, the breath test where you breathe out and you breathe in? See, they did the breath test. That's what they did. They did the breath test. They said, ain't nobody got to tell me that my breath stink. All I got to do is my own breath test, and this stink. They did their own breath test. They was like, yeah, we kind of, yeah, in hindsight, we didn't put none of them in no good situation. We didn't put Kelly in no good situation. We didn't put Mike McCarthy in no good situation. Brian had to be different to Mike McCarthy because he was also in a bad situation. And they did a breath test. They did a full-fledged breath test. See, but I'm going to also say this, man, on the breath test, man. They still, even though they did a breath test on offense, and you know, they, ooh, edge it, ooh, write this down. Ooh. Ooh. Yes, front office. I'm happy that you got the Brett test on this one. I'm gonna give you some positivity points. Y'all know I'm not the positivity pamper guy. I'll never be that guy. You don't win no championships being that goddamn guy. If you make people feel good, but ain't no team that's feeding positivity pampers is serious. Ain't no content creator that's where all they do is try to make you feel jolly is serious. You not serious. You serious about your growth. You ain't serious about winning. Cause see, people that's like serious, they go take the Brett test. Any homie that's serious about your friendship, go give you a Brett test. Yeah, I expect one of the homies to say, hey man, before we go in the club, boss, here's a mint. And they took the Brett test.
That's the greatest part, is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It starts with ownership coming down, but Shotty's got a plan, got a vision. We're going to support that, and then
hold on, let me go back, because see, my boy, he was killing it. Listen at Will.
I think that's the greatest part, is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what.
Yeah, that's the commitment. That was the Brett test that we made. That was, we stink. Yeah, we got to fix that. Brett, up, we stink. Yup, front office.
I think that's the greatest part, is being aligned from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It starts with ownership coming down, but Shotty's got a plan, got a vision. We're going to support that.
Did he? He did. He clearly had a vision. His vision, physicality, Klayton called it violence. It's the same vision, y'all. He did. And it fully aligned, bro. I'm telling you, it aligned all the way to pick 12. Dallas is aligned now, y'all, on offense.
And then what we'll do is continue to, add good players. I have a great feeling about Shotty, what he's looking for. He's going to communicate. He's going to over-communicate. He's going to ask his staff to do that. And they're going to over-communicate with us. And
was he telling the truth? This was in the Senior Bowl. So this was way before the Booker pick. This was way before the Pickens. This was way before all of that. Is this true? I would say, hell yeah, this is true.
And from top down, and that's one of the commitments that we all made, sitting in there about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
That's the commitment we made. That's the commitment all of us in front office made. That's the commitment. It wasn't just the coaches. It was the commitment that had to come from the top. It was the commitment that, yeah, our breath stink right here, bro. Yeah. We got to do better at front office. That's why we got to sometimes hold them accountable. And I got to ask the question, was you one of the ones holding front office accountable? Was you one of the people, as a content creator or a writer, was you one of the ones that was saying, say, bro, y'all not aligned, bro? I know Tuck was. I know Tuck was. I know Tuck was talking about this. I'm just being honest. I know he was the one saying, hey, why is Mike McCarthy over here saying that I ain't never been a fan of option routes? Why? Or was you trying to feel good and you wanted to hear content creators that was going to make you feel good? What was you doing? Was you putting your head in the sand? Or was you listening to the people that was telling you, say, bro, Mike McCarthy not aligned to Brian or to Kelly. They not aligned. See, because I'm also trying to break us out of the positivity pampers. It's too many of us that really want that. We settle for that because we so thirsty for it. We not getting a championship, so we settling for the next best thing. Just being told lies and being told that these average ass moves is great moves. That makes me feel good, so I settle for that. A lot of people like that don't like Boss. They don't like Tuck. Because, see, we the ones that's going to tell them, hey, bro, they getting it right on offense. They are. I'm being honest. They getting it right on offense. But are they getting it right on defense?
With ownership coming down, but Shotty's got a plan, got a vision. We're going to support that, and then what we'll do is continue to, add good players. I have a great feeling about Shotty, what he's looking for. He's going to communicate. He's going to over-communicate. He's going to ask his staff to do that, and they're going to over-communicate with us, and we're going to over-communicate with them. That's how we're going to get it done the first year. We'll continue to grow and get better at it.
And I would say that he kept his word on that. But we trying to win a championship. So let's look at this real quick. We're going to just talk about this. I'm going to get up out of here. What about the alignment of the defense? Damn. Wrong. Damn. That's real. What about the defense? I'm going to just be honest with y'all. At least I'm going to just be all the way honest with y'all. It's frustrating me that we this close and we are now passive. Because I'm going to be all the way honest, man. This whole offseason has mostly been about having alignment perfectly with the offense. But I felt like we missed some opportunities to have even better alignment on the defense. So it was a time where I pitched this as the potential solution because the defense, if you remember right, who carried us at the end, bro? And that's why we got to talk about this. That defense, see, offensive line, that's what Tucker said. Yeah, you can see the alignment. But that defense not aligned. So front office. You said, Steven, that you go spend to the cap. You said you do it every year. You got too much cap money sitting right now. Can I say that again? Didn't he say he go spend up to the cap? That's what Steven said this year. That's what he said this year. Now we over here on some, boss, come on. They're gonna wait till June 1st, boss. They're gonna look at some of these guys that was waived, and that's when they're gonna get the. Bro, I need that same urgency that y'all had on wide receiver 2, bro. Y'all was not go shut up until we got wide receiver 2. I'm talking about Cowboy fans. You was not go shut up. You was go stay loud as hell. It was a lot of anger about wide receiver 2. It was a lot. Now we be like, boss, wrong, Tuck. Come on, man. Chuck, man, come on, man. We good. Come on, man. Man, one tech. Come on, man. We all right. We gonna be all right. Nah, bro. Nah. Boss, we gotta, you know what I'm saying? Believe in them young guys, boss. Bro, y'all don't remember me having that fight last year? I had the same damn fight last year, bro. Dude named MJ. We had us a nice little fight. Called me stupid. And I was like, bro, please don't go in here and trust in Rodgers, please. Please don't trust in Rodgers to be your answer because it has never worked. It has never worked. Yes, I do believe in giving those guys some reps, but making them the main rotational player with Mozzie is shooting yourself in the head. Let me say it again. You're shooting yourself in the head. You're shooting yourself, Dallas, in your head. because Mozzie is not going to play 100% of the snaps. At the most, he going to play 50 to 60%. So when he has to rotate out, or if he has a stinger, what are you going to be left with? Nothing but one techs that have 0 game experience, dog. There's not another one tech on this team that's going past year 2. And the rest of those guys literally have no reps. And that's what we depended on. But then yet we go say we got Brian back. No, you don't. You don't have Brian back when he done said that you win these games in the trenches. That's not just Booker, dog. You also got to help his defense, man. And let's be honest, you not being honest if you ain't even considering putting the full package together for his offense. How you gonna say that we gonna get behind the offensive line and be physical and we don't even want to have no more conversations about the running back? Oh, boss, hey man, hey boss, let's not hurt the progress of these young guys. No. What did they do in the offseason? They went and got all these guards and they said we still go get Booker. Because we want competition. We literally wait till June to get soft as a fan base? What are we doing, bro? Like, really? Like, we literally waited till it's time to win this bitch. And now we over here. Thank you. See, this is what I'm talking about right here, bro. See, this is what I'm talking. See, my boy, he ain't been up, bro. If my computer didn't crash, we would have already showed 10 DTs. I promise you. I'm fighting my ass off to get my computer back. I ain't using no more Restream, man. I want to be done with that after today. Man, I want to have my stuff all the way programmed because we got to be putting out these names and the film on these boys. Isaiah Buzz, DJ Reader, Benito Jones, Siaka Ika, Raekwon Davis. We already did the work on Raekwon Davis, but we should be aggressive about this, Cowboy Nation. We should be using our hashtags. We should be doing all of that, bro. We should be doing all of that. The same aggression that we have for wide receiver 2, we should be just as aggressive or more for your one tech, bro. Because, see, your one tech was more important than wide receiver 2, and I stand on that, bro. I would have rather us address the one tech and would have went in there with Mingo and Tolbert than wide receiver 2. Because most of the big games we lost is because we couldn't stop the run, dog. It wasn't because our wide receiver 2 got locked down. This is not knocking Pickens. I got to say that again. This is not knocking Pickens. It's keeping first things first, bro. You are not taking care of Brian Schottenheimer if you're not serious about one tech. And I don't like it, bro. This the part I don't like. I'm going to praise you, front office, and I agree with you, and I appreciate you greatly for doing your Brett test, and that's what you did. You did a great job of doing your Brett test on not having Mike McCarthy aligned, but you still not you done moved into budget mode on us, and I'm not cool with it. Like, we're too close to get cute, bro. We're too close. Like, it's like I feel like a lot of us feeling like this ain't our year now. We really waiting the next year. No, we not. We can win it this year, man. What we waiting the next year for? Let's wait till the running back class in that draft. Bro, no. No, bro. It's a whole lot of backs. I know we screaming Chubb, but it's a whole lot of backs that you could trade a late round pick for now. It's people like Charbonnet. It's people like Allen. It's a whole lot of, Braylon Allen. It's a whole lot of people. I know we screaming Chubb because that should be automatic. That's $1 million cap hit, bro. That's why we so loud about that. It's because it just makes sense to bring him in for competition. It's just, bro, it's right. F them picks, bro. You can go get a back now. You can go get your one tech now. We are tripping when we thinking, oh, they got to wait till June 1st. They are playing us, bro. I ain't finna be played. I'm not cool with being played. My thing is this, bro. I'm gonna put exactly what we need to be doing, in my opinion. Call me a freedom fighter, call me whatever you want. But I'm gonna put the key to all this in there. Them hashtags. Work. Like, obviously take breaks, you know. Our lives don't revolve around the Cowboys. But, man, we be working them hashtags, bro. Like Jerry and them said that they get a report. They get a report every day or every other day, brother, about what we're saying on Twitter. They get a report, brother. Terrence Parsons videotaped the room where they got nothing but media people, and that's all they do all day long with a full staff is watch what we are saying. That's why I'm telling you, that's why they said Tech, bro, would have been the pick. They said that maybe he would have been, but they made sure to tell you that. Why? Because they saw our community voices was loud about receiver 2. And we quiet right now, bro. We ain't making enough noise on this, bro. I'm gonna be all the way honest, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm gonna put it like this. We need wide receiver 2 energy for running back and 1 tech, homie. And I'm talking about if you're trying to win it. Now, if you're just trying to feel good, you got your reward. Like all our numbers up, like everybody numbers doing good right now. Like if you was, everybody numbers is way up. Everybody numbers, the Cowboy Nation is back. All of us getting bigger checks off YouTube and stuff like that. We getting much bigger checks now. If that was your goal, okay, you won. You already winning now. You winning. But see, just getting the bigger checks wasn't my goal. That's not my goal. My goal is to win the whole thing, bro. Hey. And Tuck, we lost that, brother. We ain't got that same energy, bro. See, it was that energy right there. That's why we got Pickens. That fire, that Jim Jerry. I got the clip at the same Senior Bowl where they asked him about the anger of the fans. And you know what Steven said? He said, no. He said that anger that we censored from the fans, the Fire Jerry campaign and all of that, he said it motivates me. It gives me energy. Are we mad right now? We done lost that. Now it's a lot of Cowboy fans and it's a lot of people that's coming from channel and channel. You know what they doing? They looking for good news. They not looking for, oh yeah, we looking for how we go win. They ain't doing that. They ain't doing that no more. So if we go get it, and if we go for it, yes, be positive, but you also gotta let them know, bro, we is not cool with this 1 tech, and we not cool with running back. At least bring in some competition. You know what Brian Schottenheimer said? Let me pull this up, man. I ain't supposed to do this, but let me play this real quick because this is what I ain't planning on pulling this up, but let me pull this up. There's some bonus for y'all because I got all these clips saved, bro, and some of them I'll bring out as needed. Hold on real quick. Let me pull the clip. Y'all give me 1 second. Listen to this.
Tommy Yardish, DallasCowboys.com. Brian, what are you looking for from these running backs? Are you leaning more maybe towards by committee to start, or what have you seen in the early goings from even some of the rookie guys too, like Jaden and Phil?
Yeah, it's too early to tell. I think last year.
So you're talking about the running backs. He said, what do you think? He said it's too early to tell.
We went into it thinking, it was going to be by committee, and then at the end of the year, we changed that. I think it's really early. We want these guys to compete.
See,
The thing we know about Javonte and Miles, right? They've been there, they've done that. They've both had very successful seasons. They have a little bit of a head start because they've been here since the start of phase one, so they're a little bit ahead of Phil and Jaden. But when you look at what you see from Jaden and you see from Phil, you see that it's going to be a really fun offseason, a fun training camp. But again, I think I've said this in here before, like, you're not going to find out much about running backs watching them compete in shorts. Like, it just, it's not how the game is played. So we won't really know. I think the numbers were 68 days away from our first training camp. I think the numbers were 68 days away from our first training camp padded practice. I think the numbers were 68 days away from our first training camp padded practice.
So this is what he's saying by that. You don't know what we got in running back until they put on the pads. We can't evaluate them like we can evaluate corners and safeties and receivers. See, that type of stuff you can still evaluate because that's a lot of feet work. You can't really truly evaluate running backs until they hidden. And he knew the exact amount of days before that day was coming. You telling me that ain't important to him? He said this yesterday. Listen, y'all.
It's not how the game is played. So we won't really know. I think the numbers were 68 days away from our first training camp padded practice.
Why do you think he knew yesterday the exact amount of days we are to the padded practice, y'all? You telling me running back ain't on his mind, brother? Where he counting down the day? Does that sound certain about the running back room? Does that sound like, hey, yeah, we good? When you in there, man, see, I was showing y'all last year when Zimmer was showing that he had doubts on that DT. You never want to hear coaches on some, I hope so, I think so, we gonna know so in the future. Do you want your coaches feeling like that? Do you hear him talking like that about the offensive line room? Do you hear the confidence in the offensive line room? But when it comes down to running back, he over here like, man, we ain't gonna know till we pass on. It's 68 days. But boss, man, don't want no progress stoppers in here, boss. Bro, man, listen, man, get as many backs in here as possible and let all them boys compete. And let the cream rise to the top. Because your head coach is showing he ain't secure. Homeboy, if you just paying attention. Let me play it one more time, bro.
Tommy Yarsh, DallasCowboys.com. Brian, what are you looking for from these running backs? Are you leaning more maybe towards by committee at the start, or what have you seen in the early goings from even some of the rookie guys too, like Jaden and Phil?
Yeah, it's too early to tell. I think last year we went into it thinking it was going to be by committee, and then at the end of the year we changed that. I think it's really early. We want these guys to compete. The thing we know about Javonte and Miles, right? They've been there, they've done that. They've both had very successful seasons. They have a little bit of a head start because they've been here since the start of phase one, so they're a little bit ahead of Phil and Jaden. But when you look at what you see from Jaden and you see from Phil, you see that it's going to be a really fun offseason, a fun training camp. But again, I think I've said this in here before, like, you're not going to find out much about running backs watching them compete in shorts. Like, it just, it's not how the game is played. So we won't really know. I think the numbers were 68 days away.
He said, boss, when I tell you my ticket sold faster than ever, Cowboy fans are 1,000% bought in. They not fighting no more, right? Let me tell you how I feel about that, Tuck. I said this the other day with Landlord and Henny. I've been in games where, especially basketball, this happened a lot in basketball, where you get in a deficit, right? But you the dude that ain't quit. So you still out there playing hard defense. You still out there, going forward, trying to get the best pass. You out there going for it. And y'all start coming back. And then you look to your left and your brother that's hooping with you, he ain't really into it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's so focused on the deficit. He not fighting no more. That's kind of how I see us right now, Tuck, is we so happy with wide receiver 2 that we stop fighting. We so happy about just having and just feeling good that now let's ride. And it was the fighting, it was the fire Jerry, it was all of that is why they were so focused on stuff like wide receiver 2. And yeah, there's a lot of Cowboy fans, they like, let's go, let's ride. And they gonna be happy even with an NFC championship making it. They gonna be happy with that. All right, we got closer. It's like, bro, I don't want closer. I want to win it. And that's the environment that I hate right now, is that we have lost that anger that got us wide receiver 2. I really believe that. He said, boss, I think we need campaigns for D10 running back with names like Keenan Allen. I like Chubb, but I think we need to look at plethora like we did wide receiver. Absolutely. And we are going to look at a plethora of running backs. Like he said, it's 68 days, or now 67 because he said that yesterday. It's 67 days until the padded practice. We should be doing all kind of film work on potentials to Dallas as trade opportunities all the way up until that day. We should be looking at DTs all the way up into training camp. So no, I'm being honest. I warned everybody. DT and running back is a long fight. This ain't gonna be a short fight. This is a long fight, y'all. We might be fighting for this up to the trade deadline. That means November. So you got to put your endurance fight on. You got to get your cardio up because this is gonna be a fight. So put it like this: Jordan Davis didn't get help at one tech until the trade deadline. That's when they brought in Sue and Linval Joseph. If it take us that long to get the one tech, then it take us that long. If it take us that long to get the running back, well, then it just take us that long. It just take us that long. Because see, what we trying to do, all of us, you Star, you Rome, Tuck, Lou, what we all trying to do is win this whole thing. That's why we talking about winter is coming, bro. That's exactly, because see, when we say winter is coming, when I say it, generation to generation mean the season, because they the ones who started that. When I say it, I'm saying literal winter. I'm saying the playoffs is when it's cold. So yes, I'm gonna be talking about, and I'm enjoying this too. I'm gonna be talking about the good changes that front office made, because these are good changes, y'all. And I got 5 of them. I just went through one of them today. I could have went through about 2 or 3, but I got long-winded. So, and I'm gonna talk about the other. So I'm gonna just recap it real quick and get y'all ready for those future shows. So we talked about aligned identity. So the offense is aligned, the defense is not aligned. I'm gonna be honest on that. We got to talk about something else that they did well. That was true BPA. Also, true competition. But there could be a potential fight on that, and we're going to talk about that. This care culture, that's a big thing, too, about the changes that they're trying to pull off, and then making outbound calls for improvement. That's something